appreciate every single one of you guys on the call today. What we're going to be going over tonight is going to be the 4 stages of the mind. Okay, the 4 stages of the mind. It's going to be a very, very, very deep, a very deep call. All right, a super deep call, but it's going to be really, really well. So guys, if you're ready on this, drop where you're tuning in from. Drop where you're tuning in from. I would love to know where you guys are dropping or where you guys are coming from here specifically, okay? Drop where you're tuning in from. Okay, so we have Australia in the building. We have Toronto in the building. We have Nashville, Tennessee in the building. Okay, Atlanta. We have Atlanta in the building. Okay, I'm also on Instagram Live right now. Okay, and we have Connecticut in the building. Okay, on Instagram Live, which is amazing. We have Connecticut in the building. What else do we got? What else do we got? Who else is tuning in from where, guys? Let me know where you guys are tuning in from. Okay, we got Atlanta, we have Connecticut, we have Boston. Okay, we have a couple people on Instagram Live as well. Okay, this is going great. All right, so let's break it down. Let's get this whole thing started. Let's talk about the 4 stages of the mind. Okay, Holland, Netherlands. Okay, Netherlands is lit. The Netherlands is amazing. So what we're going to go over specifically today is going to be a very important subject because I learned this about 10 years ago and it helped me operate the entire mind. Now, why is that important? Because your life and your business is going to be a full-blown reflection of the internal conversations, ideas, and belief systems that you have that are always stemmed internally. Your ability to be aware of these belief systems, be aware of these habits, and be aware of this idea or vision is going to be a direct correlation to how much success you have externally. Okay, everything that you have right now in this direct moment is a direct correlation and reflection of the thoughts that you've been thinking anywhere between 90 to 180 to 1 year before time. So you're exactly where you are because of your thoughts. You're exactly where you are because of your thinking. And in order to shift the world around you and to shift the reality that you're in today, you have to shift your mind. You have to shift your thinking. Everything starts with the thought. From then, it's then brought into other different areas of your life. So let's say today you're at a level or an income level of like, let's say $30,000 a year or $30,000 a month. Whatever that income level is, there needs to be a shift. There needs to be something that happens that gets you to, okay, that, let's say $30,000 a day level. At least from my experience, guys, being in business for 10 years, being able to build multiple businesses from traditional businesses to also network marketing businesses, trading, making 5K a month to, let's say, 50K a month to about my biggest month was about $250,000 in a month. This is just from my experience, okay? What I'm going to share with you guys are the 4 states of mind, okay, that most people are going to go through and that you might go through when you are in life and in business, and how to kind of get in or get out. And specifically what we're going to talk about is this elite level of business, which what I like to call is flow, and understanding what flow is. Now, why is flow important? The reason flow is important is because when you have flow, you have the ability to tap into your highest creative faculties. You have the ability to tap into that superhuman consciousness. You have the ability to tap into a higher power, which some people call that higher power or connectedness, which some people call it God, some people call it the universe, whatever it is. Flow is that direct correlation or ability to be able to tap into that higher power, that higher connected energy that is being able to work through you, which is why flow is so important. And when you're in flow specifically, you're able to have access to certain states that you normally never are able going to that normally are very difficult for most people to tap into. And everything starts to click. Now, in order for us to be able to identify what flow is and how we can obtain flow, we have to be able to define it. Okay, so what is flow? Flow is a mental state of operation where you're what? Fully immersed in an activity. Okay, fully immersed. And what I mean by activity, it means an energized focus. Okay, a full involvement. Okay, a sense of accomplishment in the process itself. Okay, so essentially, what is flow? Flow is a supreme, I like to call it, supreme creativity, an area of productivity combined in one aspect. Okay, everybody has experienced flow before. Okay, at some point in time in life, whether you were experiencing flow in your work, experiencing flow in your studies, like let's say in college, experiencing flow in like any endeavor. All of us here have tapped into an area in life where, let's say in sports, every goal you were hitting or every point you scored, it was simple, it was easy, it was almost effortless. Okay, let's say in sales, every sell you were making was almost effortless. In trading, every trade that you were making, okay, was coming out a winner. Okay, let's say in, I'm not sure, any business, whatever deal you were making or thing you were selling in marketing was just coming to life as simple as possible. Okay, so for successful people specifically, okay, they do not occasionally go into that state. They choose to live in that state more than other people. And that is why they have more success long term. So now, when we talk about flow, we're going back into the understanding of flow and learning how to get into it and why it's so important. Because when you're in flow, your numbers go up, your speeches and interactions are more impactful, your trainings resonate with others, and your action is 5 to 10 times more effective and productive. Everything is working in your favor. The tides are shifting in your favor when you are in flow. You are allowing the source to work through you. And like I said, people in flow have been able to create miracles and do amazing things. Some people, you've heard people that were in flow that have been able to gain superhuman strength. People that were in flow, okay, in times of need and massive pressure, people will get into flow. There was a story of a girl that literally lifted a car at one point in time, and she was only like 140 pounds. And because her baby was in dire need underneath a car, she like lifted the car and didn't feel any type of pain or didn't have any hesitation in doing that because she was in full alignment and in flow. And a legit miracle happened for her to save her baby that was literally about to get hit by a car. She was able to create a miracle. Okay, there's people that have been able to grow back limbs throughout. Like, this is like a crazy miracle that's been studied because of being in this state of flow. There's people that have been able to cure diseases being in a state of flow. There's people that have been able to create some of the wildest miracles possible because of the state of flow. So not only does it align with your actions, or let's say your success of your numbers going up, your trades going well, your speech is going right, your training resonate with others, it also goes in direct alignment with other aspects of your life. Okay, that's what we're breaking down here. Okay, so let's go back into it. Why is flow important? So how do we get into flow? There needs to be a full set of clarity of intention when you're in flow. Okay, full set of clarity of intent when you're in flow. The second thing is focus. Your focus needs to be in direct alignment with what you're looking to obtain. You have to eliminate the distractions, because without the focus, flow isn't able to have direction. Okay, and then I would like to say balance. Too much stress, too much anxiety will kill the creative process of being in a state of flow. Okay, so we'll break it all down. When we talk about flow, there's usually 4 states of mind that most people get into. And every single person on the call, whether you're tuning in from Instagram Live or tuning in from, I would say, this call here from the vault, wherever you're tuning in from, there's 4 states of mind that exist. And whether you are a carpenter, you're a business person, you're a trader, you're somebody here that is here to get better and grow as an individual, all of us all in these 4 states of mind consistently. And being able to recognize these 4 states of mind is what's going to dictate whether or not, okay, we have success or we end up stuck in a state where we're not able to push through. Okay. So as I break these things down, try to identify what state you're at. What level are you at as an individual? Because the moment you're able to recognize exactly where you're at is the moment you're able to move forward. Okay. So let's break it all down. What state are you at? There's 4. The first one is the downward spiral state and no vision state. The second is the current reality trap with no vision. The third is the stress and anxiety state with a vision with no happiness, a grand vision of the future with no happiness. Then there is the flow state with you being currently happy to the moment and then having a large grand vision of the future. Okay, so let's break it down. So let's start with the first one, which is the downward spiral, no vision state. This state is super important because when you're in this state, it means you're currently unhappy in your life. Anybody here, drop a 7 in the chat if you've ever been unhappy with where you are in life. You can just be honest. I have, guys. I've been unhappy. Okay, drop a 7 in the chat if you've ever been unhappy, like ever in your life. Drop a 7 in the chat. If you've ever been unhappy, let's be honest here. That's the thing, and that's what we can do here on the call. We can be honest with each other. I think that's very important. A lot of times we tend to not be honest with ourselves or the people around us. Okay, this is great. Okay, so the downward spiral, no vision state. People that live in this state here, they're usually very unhappy with their current reality. So they're unhappy with their current reality, and sometimes they lack vision for the future. And I've been here before. So, people that live here, where is their focus? Their focus are on the negative things that are happening in their life. Because they don't have a grand vision of the future, they have nothing to look forward to. And they have negative thoughts, ideas, and beliefs. What is that quote that says, there's nothing more dangerous, than, what is it, a bored mind or an empty mind is the devil's playground? Because you have nothing you're working towards, these negative thoughts tend to dominate your mind. And what ends up happening is because you're constantly thinking negative, negative works, negativity is an addiction. Your mind takes it in as a drug. And because negativity is such an addiction, it constantly stays in this cycle of where, it starts thinking about one bad thing, and then it branches from one bad thing into the second bad thing, into the third bad thing. And now you have multiple different events and ideas of negativity in your mind, dominating your mind. And a lot of times negativity stems from past events, past experiences where you've had failures, maybe past experiences where you've had trauma that you've had to heal from, past experiences that you're still holding on to and haven't been able to let go of. So your focus is in the wrong place. And because you have no vision, what ends up happening is you end up being stuck. And because you have this negativity just breeds even more lack of resourcefulness, more coping behavior, more victimization. You end up stuck, taking less action, and now you're repeating whatever thoughts that you have. And you know that the mind has 95% of the same thoughts that we have. 95% of the thoughts that we have are the same thoughts that we have every single day. So now you're stuck repeating the same things every single day and end up having the same results. So people that are usually in this downward spiral state, they need to be able to shift their focus. Recognize that their current situation doesn't define their future. They're stuck way too much in the trauma. They're stuck way too much in the past. They're stuck way too much with their limitations and their beliefs from an idea that no longer exists, an identity that no longer exists. The person that you are today, is just a reflection of thoughts, beliefs, and ideas that you had basically broken down, and that that you had assigned yourself, a story that you sold yourself a couple years ago. And what happened was you went through different experiences and events, and whether your brain or I would say you were conscious enough to be aware of how to perceive whatever happened to you consciously will define who you are today. Let's say adversity, for example. Adversity, some people, okay, will comprehend an experience of adversity as a challenge and push through, while other people will comprehend, okay, adversity not as a challenge, but as a setback and not push through and then fall back down. Okay, it's hardly ever what happens to us, but it's the lens of what we look through, how we see it. That's the most important part that you need to be able to understand. So focus equals power. Focus on the shift. So the first stage is the downward spiral and no vision stage. The second is the current reality trap with no vision. So this is where you're currently happy with where you are, but you don't have a grand or a strong enough vision of the future. Let's say you have a strong vision, but you're not entirely sure what it looks like. So these are people that are half in and half out of success. So like example, if I ask you today, what is the exact thing that you want? What is your exact goal of 2025? If I ask Dwayne The Rock Johnson, he has the exact goal. If I ask let's say if I ask one of my business partners, he has the exact goal down. If you don't have a strong enough vision for the future with details, you're going to be, that vision's going to be cloudy, and it's not going to be enticing enough in order for you to make changes in your life. So you're going to be stuck in this current reality trap where you're stuck, you're stagnant because you're comfortable with mediocrity. An example of this, okay? An example of this was my freshman year in college, or my first couple years in my teens or late teens, okay? Where I was living carefree, I was partying a lot. I had absolutely no direction. I had no idea where I wanted to go. I had no idea what I wanted to do. I had no idea about anything. I didn't care about anything. The only thing I cared about was getting drunk, smoking some weed, okay, going out there and doing what would make me happy at that current moment. It was the current reality trap, okay? I was trapped and okay with mediocrity. And the people I was around were okay with living a minimal lifestyle, okay? No 6 Saturdays, 1 Sunday, a miserable, okay lifestyle, okay? With no direction of the future. So the problem with this is because you're happy with where you're at, but you have no vision of the future. So you think you're good, but you're actually not good. And the reason why this is important to understand is because, well, we've talked about before, nothing in nature is stagnant. It's either always growing or dying. Success is like a slippery slope, right? So you're slowly slipping back into the previous one where you end up going back into the downward spiral stage and your life starts to downward spiral. Tony Robbins says this best: the human mind has the need to constantly grow and expand, never retract. So without any type of compelling vision of the future, you're going to remain stuck regardless of what happens to you. Okay, the solution: you need to push yourself to dream bigger. You have to create a more enticing vision of the future. For me, back in 2016, when I was in the dorm room, back in 2015, when I was in the dorm room, okay, what I was doing is I was creating something massively enticing. I didn't come for money, guys. Okay, a lot of you guys know me for maybe my previous company where I was making $150,000 a month. I hit my first million at 23 years old. Before any of that happened, at 18 years old, dude, I was creating a vision of the future. I was looking at the exact dream board. I created dream boards, cars I wanted, quotes I wanted around me. I created an envision so enticing where I closed my eyes and I knew exactly what kind of car I wanted, the house I wanted to be in, where I wanted to live in. I wanted to live right by the beach. I wanted to live in Florida. I wanted to have my own house. I wanted to have the car. 99%, no, 90% of everything I desired 10 years ago all came true. 90% of everything I envisioned. Okay. So the solution goes back into creating a stronger vision and not getting up in that, not getting away from that. Okay. Let's talk about the stress and anxiety state, or what I also call the strength and anxiety state. So these are people, okay, that have a vision, massive, massive vision of the future, a huge vision, but they're currently unhappy with their reality, and they're very unhappy with their reality. And maybe they have a massive vision of the future, but it's so large that sometimes they second guess if they could obtain it. Sometimes they don't know if they'll be able to have it. They have such a strong vision that they might also not believe it is possible in order for them to be able to have it, right? That's the biggest thing. Give me 1 second, guys. Okay. So you have a grand vision for the future, but you're unhappy with your current reality. And what ends up happening is, because you have such a grand vision, okay, you are stressed out. You have a ton of anxiety, and you don't know whether you can achieve that goal. And the problem with this is, because you're living through so much stress and anxiety, you're actually blocking your access to higher creative faculties. You're blocking your ability to be able to tap into flow. And I feel like, for me at least, I've lived a huge long time in this state, because for me specifically, okay, I lived through so much stress and anxiety, and I created this illusionary pressure for me when I was young. Dude, I remember having conversations at like 19, 20 years old, wondering why I didn't already make $1 million. I used to get so angry at myself at 21 on the fact that I hadn't hit $1 million income yet. I used to get angry at 21 years old. Can you believe it? I had that much pressure. I added that much pressure to myself. Okay. But let me shift your perspective. Okay. This is an okay place to be, but it's not the place that you want to be, because the reality is, if you put too much stress, too much anxiety on yourself, you're going to unattract people that might give you the connections in order to get there faster. What you're doing is you're also blocking, okay, your ability to have more clearer thinking. You're blocking your ability to be able to flow in business and in life, and you're going to take less risks by default, not getting you there as quickly as you can. The next stage we're going to talk about, which I would say is that flow state, that is called the vision and present happiness state. This is where you have a grand vision of the future, and you're currently happy with your reality, because you know that that end result, okay, and the end in mind is going to happen for you. Your current reality right now at this moment in time, okay, you're not stressed about it, because you know, yes, you have this massive grand vision of the future, but you're happy exactly with where you are today. And because you're happy, you're not tapping into the higher creative faculties, because you're tuning into a level of gratitude, knowing that the end result is going to happen. See, I didn't know back then how I was going to make an extra 10K a month, okay, in business or in life, but it happened. I didn't know how I was going to make an extra 30 or 50K a month or 100K a month. Even when I left my network marketing company, when people thought I was crazy for walking away from a guaranteed 15, okay, to even 30K, $1,000 a month, which wasn't hard for me to do. Okay. When I left guaranteed 15 to 30K a month, okay, a lot of people thought I was crazy. And did I know, was I a little stressed out for leaving that income? A little bit. Yeah. I was like, yo, bro, this is good money. But for me, it didn't matter. Why? Because I knew in that flow, I was currently happy with my reality, and I had a grand vision for the future. And I didn't know exactly how I was going to make an extra $10,000 to $15,000 or $30,000 that was going to replace my income, but I started one business, and within 3 to 6 months, it was making me an extra $15,000 a month. Then I started another business. It was making me an extra $15,000 to $20,000 a month. Then I started another business, okay, and it was making me an extra $15,000 to $20,000 a month. Okay, and these are all 3 different businesses. They're not all the same businesses. Okay, one is a high ticket, one is low ticket, the other one is a traditional business. So why is that important? You're tapping into that flow. And I have this grand vision of the future. Okay, grand vision of the future. One of my biggest months was this year. Back in January, I had about $150,000 a month in business. And I will never forget the flow that I was tapped into, the gratitude I was tapped into because of that win. Okay. And that alone is what I feel like shifted my entire perspective on the way that I look at this here. And I'm constantly having these reminders every single day, guys. As I'm here breaking this down here, these are concepts I've learned over 10 years that were passed down to me by successful, okay, 7-figure earners. It's not just my content. I'm not that great, guys. I just study great people, and I relay some of the information that I've learned from those people. So flow state, that is how you tap into that flow state. Okay. Now, when it comes to shaping the state of mind that you're currently in right now, okay, we have to be aware of how to shape it. Your mind creates your reality. Okay. We go from the negative spiral stage, okay, which is backwards thinking. Remember, it keeps you stuck. So you have to be able to change your focus in order to move forward. You have to be able to develop a grand vision. Maybe you're in the current reality trap where you have to realize that, hey, maybe you're somewhat happy, but you're okay with mediocrity, and it's holding you back from your massive potential. Maybe you're in the stress and anxiety state. Maybe you need to change your emotions in order to create breakthroughs. Tap into your potential. Ask yourself, why haven't you reached your full potential yet? Oftentimes, it always lies within your limiting beliefs. You have to be able to shift these beliefs in order to create opportunities. Okay, so the choice is yours. Everything boils back down into the reality that you decide to choose today. What reality are you in? How can you audit that reality to be able to move forward, okay, and create something great? Everything boils back down into the choice that you have. Okay, so which state are you in? Identify it, embrace it, and then grow through it. So if you're in a negative state, identify that. Embrace it. Don't deny it. It's one thing about being honest with yourself. That's key. Because a lot of times people tend to not be honest with themselves. In order to let go of a belief or to really get to the next level, you have to be honest with yourself. You have to identify it and embrace it. It's okay to accept it. Identify it, accept it. Then, after you accept it, it's okay to let it go. This is how I break every limiting belief that I've ever had and how I've recommended people to let go of their limiting beliefs. Identify it. Let's say you have a limiting belief on money. You have a limiting belief on your skills. You have a limiting belief about your self-image or yourself. Identify that limiting belief and accept it. It's fine. Embrace it. Accept it. Accept that you have that limiting belief. Then identify it, embrace it, try to figure out, where did it come from? Where did it stem from? Did it stem from you when you were 4 years old, something happened to you? Did it stem from an event in your relationship? Did it stem from an event when you were growing up? Did it extend from something that happened to you in school? Where did it stem from? So after you accept it, identify where you stemmed from it and realize that it is a lie. Okay, once you identify, embrace it, and figure out where it's from, and you fully accepted it, now that you've accepted it, you can let it go. Now that you let it go, you can now allow a new belief to now take form, and you can start operating out of that new belief. See, the problem with most people is, I see it all the time with like new age gurus. Are always like trying to say things like, yo, like law of attraction, like you just got to think positively, like you just got to think opportunistically, like always think positively, always think progression. Okay, this is the fucking problem with that. The problem with that is, if you already have negative beliefs and you're already in a negative state, because 95% of the world, okay, has the same thoughts every single day, and 80% of the world resonates with negativity, if you're already resonating with that negativity, it is going to be impossible for you to stay in this consistent positive fucking state, dude. It's going to be absolutely impossible. Okay. Shifting your belief system isn't covering up your beliefs with positive thoughts. That's what a lot of people try to do. They try to cover up, okay, what's bothering them or holding them back by trying to cover them up, just like you would try to cover up a bad paint job with more paint. You can't do that. It's not how you heal properly. You have to identify it, embrace it, accept it, okay? Figure out where it came from and let it go. Then you can put something in new. But you're not going to be able to do that if you just try to cover up and push positivity in your life and say, hey, look, I'm going to just think different today. It doesn't work like that. There's real discovery that has to happen first. The path to enlightenment, the path to success, the path to happiness only comes with two different routes. It comes through either the route of pain or it comes through the path of contemplation. I say it takes a little bit of both. I think the path of success, enlightenment, and happiness comes through the path of both pain and contemplation. You have to go through pain. You have to go through contemplation. And once you do that well enough, you're able to know yourself well enough, then you'll be able to grow to your maximum extent. So guys, I appreciate you guys. This is a good one. This is the end of my slideshow, okay? But I appreciate every single one of you guys. I am going to upload this, okay, on the personal development section here into the vault. And this was a quick one, but if you guys got value from this, make sure to drop what you learned in the global chats, okay, in the vault section on Discord. Let me know what you learned, what was some things that you liked, okay, from this training. What was the biggest takeaway that you got here? Let's engage in those chats. Drop whatever you got from. I would highly appreciate it if you did. And I appreciate y'all. I love you guys, and I will talk.